You are exceptionally skilled at smiling in a crowd. Not the kind of smile that bursts with joy, but one that is just right. Perfectly measured, quiet, gentle, revealing no sharp edges. It is as if you wear a mask that never fails. You respond to greetings with a nod, a smile, and few words. People say you are sensible, steady, and easy to get along with. You simply keep smiling, offering no explanations. But deep down, you know this is not your true self. It is merely a trained version of you. You are accustomed to saying, "I'm fine." You habitually say, "You go first, I'll wait." You often say, "It doesn't matter, anything is okay," because you believe too much real expression complicates the mood. You remember once, when someone asked, "Do you really like your life now?" You almost blurted out no, but you paused for a second, smiled, and nodded. "It's pretty good." No one knew how fast your heart was racing then. It felt like you might give yourself away any moment. You were not even sure how much of that answer was true. You only knew it was the response you were supposed to give. You are not lying. You are simply maintaining a certain order. An order of the you that others like. An order that avoids disappointing anyone. Sometimes you wonder about yourself. Am I too concerned with what others think? Have I forgotten what the original me was like? But you quickly push these thoughts aside, because you are too used to this way of being. This way of speaking, reacting, existing. You appear perfectly normal. Work is stable, relationships are fine, life seems steady. Even you start to believe that maybe this is me. Until one night, sitting alone on the edge of your bed, you suddenly do not know what expression to face yourself with. You look at the face in the mirror. It is familiar, yet somehow strange. You do not resist being understood. You have simply gone too long without trying to be seen. When everyone believes you are fine, you almost lose the right to feel otherwise. But you remember that at the beginning, it was not hypocrisy. It was self-preservation. You smile. In crowded settings, you always smile just enough. Not too much, not too little, perfectly balanced. You know when to say thank you, when to change the subject, when to pretend you understand, when to act relaxed. You are not always happy. You just know how to appear presentable. You insist this is not pretense. This is social etiquette. You discovered early that, when you conceal your emotions, others feel more comfortable, and you stay safer. So you learn to read the room in advance. You mastered controlling your tone, your gaze, your breathing. You learn to cover everything with calm. You lower your head, yield, compromise. Not because you lack opinions, but because you know. Sometimes expressing yourself is unwelcome. You say it's okay after being offended. You say sure to gatherings you do not want to attend. You say I'm good when you are barely holding on, not because these words are true, but because you fear the greater cost of honesty. You dislike conflict, not because you agree with others, but because you are too familiar with the outcome of speaking up does no good. Thus you become very sensible, very compliant, very stable, very unlikely to embarrass anyone. You perform well, but you know that is not the whole you. It is merely the version easiest for others to accept. You have heard many compliments. You are always so calm. You are incredibly understanding. You never lose your temper. Each time you hear these, you nod, smile, and thank them. Then quietly think to yourself, you do not really know me. You know exactly how you pull it off. You know how long you have been acting. You even admire your own skill. The ability to hide exhaustion so well. You are not tireless. You simply cannot collapse in front of others. You have grown used to protecting fragility with "I'm fine," masking truth with a smile, avoiding conflict with compliance. You want to relax too. You want to speak to. You want to tell someone one night, "I am actually not doing well," but you counter yourself in your mind, saying it won't help, others won't understand, and you will still have to clean up the mess alone. So you keep performing, keep smiling, keep maintaining, until even you cannot tell whether the mask is on your face or fused into your bones. You were not always like this. You were not born knowing how to read people. This is a skill that grew slowly over time. It began as self-protection, became a survival strategy, and finally a habit you no longer recognize. You wear this social mask, not to deceive anyone, but for safety. It is a coping mechanism, not wrong, not weakness. It was simply the only tool you had at the time. When you learned in a relationship, that expression brought punishment, while silence earned peace. You naturally chose to stay quiet. You could not loudly say, "I don't like this." You feared losing connection. You feared being called too sensitive or too difficult. You dreaded the sudden silence in the room, the look that says, "Are you crazy?" So you wrapped all those feelings into a polite, proper, calm exterior. That exterior is what you call your social mask. It has helped you. It kept you from falling apart in many situations. It let you survive many relationships. It maintained the appearance of functioning well. This is protective deception. Not to fool others, but to convince yourself you can endure it all. You do not want your real self seen, because you are convinced no one wants to see that side, including you. Over time, you lose track of where the act ends and truth begins. Every day feels like rehearsing the same scene. Same lines, same rhythm, same responses. You forget when it started. When you go too long without using your real voice, it grows hoarse. When you go too long without genuine emotions, they distort. When you go too long without honesty with yourself, you start believing the mask is you. You may hate the mask, feeling it restricts, binds, exhausts you, but you also know, at a certain stage, it truly protected you. It was armor you built for yourself. Heavy, hard, airtight. It spared you many wounds, but blocked out warmth too. You are not hypocritical. You are over-defended. You are not indifferent. You are too afraid of being misunderstood again. You are not hiding. You just have not found a safe exit yet. A place where you can remove the mask without blame. A space where you can say, "I am not as okay as you think." You have been waiting for such a place. Perhaps it is now, in this moment, where you can finally hear, defense is not a flaw. It is how you survived the storm. It was not one person who hurt you, nor a single traumatic pain. It was the accumulation of countless not being heard, repeated confirmations that speaking up changes nothing. You slowly realized, self-expression does not always bring understanding. Sometimes it brings trouble. So you simply stopped speaking, stopped asking, stopped making a fuss, stopped showing. You learned to stay silent, because speaking once pushed you away. You learned to comply, because insisting once led to rejection. You learned to pretend, because truth, once revealed, made people uneasy and worsened relationships. From then on, you became expert at reading the room. You always catch subtle shifts in others' faces first, knowing when to stop, when to pivot. You rarely stand your ground, because you do not want labels like troublesome or high maintenance. You even learn to negate yourself preemptively, to avoid being negated by others. You did not suddenly become calm. You grew accustomed to not touching. You did not suddenly mature. You were forced to grow cautiously. You were never properly taught how to express yourself. You only learned to withdraw. Through repeated expression failures, you thought that was growing up. Actually, it was silencing. You do not resist understanding. You just learnt too early that, when others refuse to listen, speaking more only hurts you further. So you became quiet, sensible, considerate. You turned into someone easy to be around, yet lost the you, who once wanted to speak and be heard. You began to believe this is you. You are not playing a role. You are just like this. Quiet, rational, not impulsive. Not bothering others, not voicing needs. Not letting anyone think you are emotional. What were once coping tools slowly became your self-definition, a kind of internalized belief. You tell yourself, if I do not speak, I cannot be wrong. If I always yield, I will not be rejected. If I cause no trouble, I will be liked. If I stay calm, others will not distance themselves. These beliefs are not logical deductions. They are sediments of survival experience. Repeated confirmations in reality made you increasingly certain. Being yourself is not allowed. You began to exist cautiously, weighing words, controlling expressions, delaying reactions. You constantly assess. Would saying this now be too much? Is this expression too obvious? If I say this, will it make someone uncomfortable? You are not living. You are constantly pruning yourself. You habitually suppress desires, even small ones. Not ordering the dish you like, not initiating gatherings, not asking about that confusing, "Are you okay?" You always feel taking up too much space bothers others. So you shrink and shrink again, until you disturb no one and approach no one. But this safety comes at a cost. You grow increasingly exhausted, not physical fatigue, but the weariness of maintaining an image. You even start dreading social interaction, because every time it feels like a meticulously calculated performance, you feel emptier and emptier, clearly interacting with people daily. Yet you feel perpetually unconnected. You are rarely truly understood, because no one has seen your real self. You do not allow it, so even surrounded by people, you feel lonely. You even begin to wonder if you truly do not deserve intimacy. If you are really not interesting, lovable, complex enough. If you were born to be a good person, but not someone to love, you dare not be vulnerable. You dare not hope. You even dare not be too happy, fearing that happiness will be taken away. So you learn to say goodbye early, to defend early, to close the door on any possible good. You are not choosing indifference. You are avoiding hurt. You are not rejecting connection. You are simply unsure. If the world can hold all of you, you traded silence for surface peace, yet lost the ability to truly connect. You won others' approval with pretense, yet lost yourself. In others' eyes, you are successful, stable, reliable. But you just grew used to carrying everything alone and learned to hide it from everyone. You became excellent, yet increasingly hollow. You grew accustomed to being needed, yet no longer know how to be understood. You are not without struggle. Every struggle only confirmed further. The world does not welcome a too real you. So you withdrew emotions, withdrew expectations, withdrew the you who once wanted to reach the world. What you ended up with was an illusion of acceptance and a loneliness that seeps into your bones. You begin to notice that perhaps these reactions are not your fault, not because you are too weak, not because you are too sensitive, not because you are immature, but because you learned protection too early. You are not deceiving the world. You are shielding the you who was once hurt, negated, ignored. The reason you pretend, avoid, act normal is not because you are inauthentic, but because you were rejected for being real. You begin to understand. You appear calm because you were taught early not to be too excited. You habitually apologize because every argument once labeled you ungrateful. You yield preemptively, stay silent automatically, comply by default. Because you believed submission keeps relationships lasting, but now you know, this is not your personality. This is your response. You are not the silent type. You learned silence to be kept around. You are not emotionless in your calm. You just grew too used to locking feelings inside your body. You do not lack need for intimacy. You are too afraid of betrayal after bearing yourself. You always thought you needed these masks because you were not strong enough. But now you finally see you are not weak. You are protecting yourself. You are not suppressing. You are waiting for the right moment. You begin to look gently back at the child who held back tears after being scolded. The child who buried shame amid classmates' laughter. The child who reached out repeatedly only to be pushed away. He just realized a cruel truth too soon. The world does not always welcome truth, so he made the smartest choice. Hide, appear differently, until it is safe from harm. And you are that child grown up. You did nothing wrong. You do not need to change the past. You just need, slowly, gently, to tell yourself one sentence. I no longer need to pretend constantly to be loved. You do not need to rip off the mask suddenly. You do not need to become real instantly. Healing is not violently tearing open wounds. It is not forcing yourself to be yourself. Healing is gradual, bit by bit, in safe moments. Allowing yourself to exhale. Sometimes it is just one deep breath. Not rushing to smile. Sometimes it is pausing before replying to a message, to ask yourself, do I really want to say this? Sometimes it is choosing to care for yourself first when tired in a crowd, instead of tending to the mood. Not dramatic change, just very small actions. For example, you begin to admit, I am a bit tired today. You start trying to say, actually, I do not agree. You begin facing the mirror, not just to adjust your state, but to look softly at that face and say, hello, I know you are trying hard. You do not need to always be the I'm fine person. You can be vulnerable, hesitant, and on some days, choose not to perform. You may still wear the mask sometimes. At work, in family, in relationships. That is okay. You have the right to choose when to protect yourself and when to slowly remove it. Sometimes you will still avoid, stay silent, smile automatically. You will repeat old patterns, but the difference is, you begin to know what you are doing. You begin to see yourself protecting yourself. You no longer blame this behavior, but understand it gently. You can even in those moments, whisper to yourself, thank you. Thank you for learning all this to survive. Thank you for taking care of yourself until now, even in such a tiring way. Thank you for not giving up on becoming whole, even if at first you could only live in pieces. You begin to believe intimacy can be practiced, truth can be tested. You are not unseeable. You just need to go slower. You no longer demand yourself to open up immediately. You begin practicing, allowing yourself to exist little by little, even if only 1/10 of you is in the sunlight. That is already enough. Because healing is not becoming a brand new you. Healing is remembering who you were, before the fear,